Morning, good afternoon, and welcome to today's author webinar. Thank you for taking your time to join us today. My name is Arnold, and I'm part of the Open Access Agreements team. I have my colleague Bharat who has joined me in this author webinar as well. And we also have a few colleagues from the Learning and Content Management team. Before we start, I thought I could just give you a few reminders. You would have also seen in the chat, Anita has been giving a lot of reminders. So the first point is to complete the poll that you see on your screens. Kindly take time to complete it. And during the session, if you have any questions, we urge you to please type in your questions in the question and answer option, the Q&A option, so that we'll be able to give you an answer directly. And we would request you to not to post your questions anonymously if possible, because if we run out of time and we're not able to answer your questions, it'll give us an opportunity to send you the answers directly. And if you would want to improve the view on your screen, you can just drag the central bar on your screen to the right to enlarge the screen that we are sharing. And you might also want to enable live transcript that is at the bottom of your screen. Finally, again, you already received a reminder. The session is recorded and you will be sent a link as soon as the recording is ready. So let's take a look at the agenda for today. You might see just 2 points there, but there's a lot of information in these 2 points. So we will start by giving you an overview of open access, what open access is, what kinds of open accesses are available. So that part will be taken over by my colleague Bharat. And after that, I will show you the author's view of publishing options in Editorial Manager, what the author will see. So let's move into the presentation. I'm handing it over to Bharat to give an introduction on open access. Over to you, Bharat.
Okay, thank you, Arnold, for the warm welcome. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are joining from. So my name is Bharat Aradjila. I'm the business owner for Open Access at Elsevier. And so Arnold and myself, we are in the same team, working very closely with a number of stakeholders internally, externally, agreement partners, institutions, and funders. So as Arnold explained, so we would like to start with giving you introduction about open access. So this is a general question we get from authors about open access. And in some parts of the world, open access is a very well-known term. And some parts of the world, it's a term that's still growing. So just for your clarity, so open access is one form of publication where you have free and permanent access to the research. So you as an author are submitting your article to Elsevier, and you can choose to publish gold open access. You can choose to publish subscription option. So there are 2 types of open access that we offer. So that is, one is gold open access. The other one is green open access. So there are subtle differences between the 2. So gold open access, as the name says, it's basically access to the entire version of the manuscript, and anyone in the world can access your content for free with gold open access. And that's why we say the final version of the article is immediately accessible to everyone. And what we do is we attach a license. Of course, the author is the one who is selecting a CC license on the article. And the CC license would determine how the readers can use the content. So for example, Elsevier offers 2 licenses. So there is CC BY and CC BY NCND. So CC BY is more of a open license where a reader can use your content for commercial purposes. CC BY NCND is more of a restrictive license. So the license you select will determine how the readers can use your content. And for gold open access, there is a fee that's applicable. So that's called article publishing charge. We call it APC. So this is applicable for all gold open access journals or a hybrid title. I'll come to what gold open access and hybrid titles mean in a second. So the second option is green open access. I saw a question on the chat box as well. Can you talk about gold open access and closed access? So in other words, gold open access is, as it says, it's fully open access. Green open access is a subset or something that falls under subscription model. So the subscription model is closed access, as we say. It's only the subscribers who can access the content on ScienceDirect. So just to give you clarity on where the green open access falls in. So it is a byproduct of subscription, the closed access. And we typically have an embargo period for every journal. So you as an author, you are choosing to publish closed access or subscription access with Elsevier. So every journal, you can see that on the guide for authors, it would have a embargo period. So the embargo period ranges typically from 6 months to 2 years, depending on the journal. So what this means is after 6 months or after 1 year or 2 years, depending on the embargo period, you can make your accepted manuscript available in repository. And this is what we refer to as green open access. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So as I said, publishing models. So you've seen what kinds of open access we offer, gold and green. So what are publishing models? So Elsevier offers 2 publishing models. So that is subscription and gold open access. And we call a journal that offers both subscription and gold open access as a hybrid title. And a journal that offers only gold open access is called a gold open access title. So gold open access is a common word between hybrid and gold open access journals. It's at the article level, so you shouldn't be confused with calling gold open access journal. So it's also at the article level. So an article in it by itself could be gold open access or subscription in a hybrid title. The article is gold open access only in a gold open access journal. So as you can see, under the subscription model, the cost of publication is covered by the readers, which means also subscribers. And after the embargo period expires, then of course, anyone can access the content through the institutional repository. And for open access, the cost of publishing is covered by institutions or individual subscribers who pay to receive the access. And as I mentioned, so for green open access, you can make the accepted manuscript available after the embargo period on your institutional repository. Okay. Then there's a question I see from Mr. Shivmani. So that is, what is the usual embargo period? So the embargo period ranges between 6 months to 2 years. Majority of Elsevier titles have it around 1 year. So you could look at the journal homepage or guide for authors to understand what the embargo period is. Okay. So now let's move to gold open access publishing model. So you've seen all about subscription. So under gold open access, there is a fee associated. We call this APC, article publishing charge. And this is where the individual, so you as an author, only you as an author would know where the funding is coming from to cover your APC. It could be your funder, it could be your institution who is paying for these APCs. And they are the ones basically, in majority of the cases, we see the invoices going to these institutions and funders where the authors have the research funds or APCs to be covered. And it's all fully accessible, of course. Once it becomes open access, the readers do not pay any fee. So in Gold Open Access articles, they can be published either in full open access and hybrid journals, as I mentioned. So it's as I said, in Gold Open Access journal, there's only one option. In hybrid, there are two options, and every open access article will have a CC license. So just to add to this, so if you go back one slide, Arnold, so I would like to mention about the first point that you see. So you see that under Gold Open Access, individual institutions or funders will pay the article publishing charge. So what this also enables us to do is make a number of open access and funding agreements with various institutions across the world. So I've also put that link in the chat box for your reference. So that's where you can see all the Elsevier open access agreements Elsevier has with various institutions. And typically, what happens is that an institution, so we can identify an author. So let's say an author coming from the University of Beijing or University College London. So when they're submitting the paper, so we can identify the author based on their affiliation and tell the author, hey author, we have an agreement in place with your institution, so we can cover the APC as part of the agreement. And that's something Arnold will show you in detail, how this looks like specifically. So, but just for your idea, so please feel free to go through the link that I have pasted in the chat box. So again, I see a question from you. So what does Creative Commons license mean? Is there an APC for CC or is it for the readers? Okay, so the Creative Commons license, Elsevier offers two licenses, CC BY and CC BY NCND. So every Gold Open Access article needs to have a license. The article is not considered Gold Open Access unless there is a license attached to it. And the license, so you pay the APC, you as an author or your institution or your funder pay the article publishing charge. However, as an author, you have a choice to choose a license or basically control how your content can be accessed by the readers. So it could be a more restrictive license or it could be a more open license. For example, with an open license like CC BY, the readers can use your content. For example, a pharmaceutical company can use your content to basically commercialize it. So that's the kind of power a CC license has, and you can control that by selecting the appropriate license Elsevier offers to you. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. So there's some more questions. I'm going to answer those as we speak. So, so I think we have covered this in detail. So this is just a slide showing you what a green open access option is. So it's byproduct of closed access or subscription, where a subscriber can read this and an user or a reader needs to pay a fee to access the content. And after the embargo period expires, you can place it in an institutional repository. Okay, so that's on the green open access front. I think we're good to move forward, Arnold.
Yep.
So I will hand it over to you and I'll look at any questions which I can answer in the background. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Bharat, for the clear explanation of what open access is. So I'm going to show you how publishing options will look in Editorial Manager when an author submits a manuscript. So you all are aware of the steps involved in submitting a manuscript. So I'm going to take you to the last few steps before viewing publishing options. So here, the author, as part of the submission journey, he has to upload his files. And in the end, the author has to enter his university affiliation details. So the author does that, and once that is done, the next step is the author has to submit or enter his funding information. Once that is done, I would like to share just a piece of information here. So whatever information the author submits or enters in the previous screen and here, it will be auto-populated if the paper is accepted. And when the author goes through the post-acceptance journey, we will copy this information over there. So the author will not have to re-enter all those details again. So once the author clicks on Build PDF for approval, the publishing options page will open. So I'm going to show you how it will look for all the business models: hybrid, gold, subsidized, and subscription. So first, taking a look at the hybrid journal, we have the text here that clearly explains to the author as to what he or she can see in the next screen. So since it's a hybrid journal, we mentioned, as Bharat already made it clear, that there will be two publishing options: open access and subscription. So based on whatever information the author has entered, we will show the author the publishing options that are available. Now at this stage, the author is not making a final choice. They're just indicating the preference, and a final choice will be made post acceptance of the manuscript. So when the author clicks on publishing options, the next page the author sees is the options that are available in a hybrid journal. This is in case of a full funding agreement. So we make it very clear to the author that the author will not have to pay anything because the article is covered under the agreement. And we also make it clear to the author that there is an option to publish subscription as well, and what happens if the author is not able, or what happens if the institution does not approve the article publication charge. So we give a clear picture to the author as to what will happen post acceptance. Now, this is what the author will see in a hybrid journal when the article is applicable under the agreement. So in the next screen, I'm going to show you what the author will see if there is no agreement, or if the author or the institution or the journal is not eligible under the agreement. So again, here we make it very clear to the author as to what the author will be liable for if the article is not covered under the agreement. And since it's a hybrid journal, still the two options are available. I'm going to show you how it will look as in a gold journal in a second. So if there is no agreement for a gold journal also, only the subscription option will not be available. So I'm just going to show you what will happen when the author clicks on Build PDF for approval. Now in a gold journal, again, the text appears, the publishing option text appears, and we make it clear to the author as to what can be expected in the next screen. So this is what the author sees. Again, in the case of a full funding agreement, we show the author that the article is eligible under the agreement and that the author is not liable to pay anything for the article publication charge. So as you can see, since it's a gold open access journal, there's only one option. If in case the institution or the journal is not eligible under the agreement, the to pay after validation will show the amount here. So we make it clear to the author as to what the author will be liable to pay. The next screen, I'm going to show you how it looks in a subsidized journal. So a subsidized journal is also a gold open access journal. The only difference is that a society or a sponsor pays the article publication charge. So that is mentioned on the publishing options text in a subsidized journal. And this is what the author will see. So again, we make it very clear to the author that how the article publication charge is covered. And we also mention that the author is not liable to pay an APC because a society or a sponsor pays the APC on behalf of the author. So in the next screen, I'm going to show you how it looks in a subscription journal. Again, in the text, it is clear as to what can be expected in the next screen. So in a subscription journal, the author will only see the subscription option. So the author chooses publishing options, which suits the author the best, and then continues with building the PDF of the manuscript. So this is what I wanted to share as to how publishing options will look in Editorial Manager when an author is submitting a manuscript. So as we are answering questions, this is the end of the webinar for today. We really want to thank you again for patiently listening and also asking thought-provoking questions. So after this session, you will receive an email with a link to the recording of today's webinar session. So please watch out for that email. And there is another survey which you would have seen on your screens. So kindly take time to complete that survey as well, because the answers you provide in that survey will definitely help us in designing our future webinars, tailor-made webinars, which will help you to gain more knowledge about the publishing options and various other details as well. So really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining, and we will see you next time with another new topic, which will be very useful for you all. So thank you all for joining. Take care and enjoy the rest of your evening and the day.